So many of us are operating in this world looking for that quote unquote love, but we're not really going about it the right way. We think this is some grand search we have to do. We have to find her. Like there's only one girl out there that's for us when really there's not. There's multiple potential partners that you can have that can fit with you. But Hollywood has sold us on the idea that there's that one true love, but that's false. That's a false reality. But in order to find this so-called love or to be in search of this love that's out there, you first have to work on yourself because at the end of the day, we receive what we put out. So if you're putting out hurt, if you're putting out negativity, if you're putting out just distrust, then you're going to receive that type of person. So if you want to receive somebody who's healthy, who's loyal, who's loving, then you need to put that kind of energy out into the world. And in order to do that, you need to work on yourself to make sure that you're being the best partner that you can be for that potential person that's going to be your partner. So being single is a great time to work on bettering yourself. We have all this time to self-improve or to get better with ourselves, but we don't ever use any of that time to our advantage. We're not productive with that time. We, sit in isolation and we don't do anything. We don't get better. We don't work on our emotional intelligence. We don't try to understand ourselves better. We don't try to understand the type of woman we want or the type of man that we want. We don't use that time correctly, except we sit in that time and we watch TV or we, bullshit or do things that are super unproductive and that are not going to push us towards what we want. So I would say when you're single, you need to, or if you're even while you're in a relationship, you need to really start focusing on yourself, trying to understand yourself better. What are some things that you want in a partner? And what are some things that you can live without? Because we can all create this long laundry list of the things that we want in somebody, but not all of them should be requirements. Some of them are nice to have, they're nice additions, but I don't need them. So you really need to create this list and really get an understanding of the type of person you want. Because if you don't do this, then you're not going to know who to search for. You're not going to know how to find her because you haven't created that image of her. So usually when I'm talking to a woman, I always ask her, what do you look for in a man? What is your type of man? And I ask that because it tells me if she's done the homework. If her selecting me is because she's done the homework and I'm best in line with what she wants in a man. A lot of girls, they struggle with that. They can't give me a direct answer or I'll know when I see him. Well, you're going to make a lot of mistakes waiting for the right guess. That's guessing. That's like throwing something against the wall and hoping it sticks. You're not going to win too often with those kind of odds. So you really have to nail down the type of person that you want because it also helps you in your filtering process. Now when you see certain things, nope, that's not the type of person I want. Oh, she does that, he does that. No, that's not the type of person I want. The person I want does X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to make sure when I find that person, that's going to be the one that I choose. Now, you don't have a person to choose if you don't know what that person looks like. So this is what you use your singlehood. When you're single and stuff, this is what you use that time for. You use that time to get better internally, but also to find out the type of person that you want for the future. When I was single, I still am single. I'm not really, in a rush or out there on the market trying to pursue anybody, but when in my singlehood, I spent a lot of time focusing on myself. How can I become more emotionally intelligent? How can I become more understanding of my partner? How can I start to understand my partner's love language? Because in my past relationship, it was all about me. It was all about self. I didn't put my partner's needs ahead of my own. I wasn't looking to serve. I was looking to serve myself. And because I wasn't putting her needs above my own, it was a one-way street because she was doing that, but it wasn't being reciprocated. So there was unbalance in the relationship, and that caused problems. So you really need to understand your partner. What is their love language? How do they like to receive love? It's very important. Also, how you like to give love. That needs to be communicated as well, because that's totally different. I may be a person that enjoys acts of service. I like little things like getting my back scratched. I like, just little things, getting my shoulders rubbed, anything, little stuff. But that could be how I like to receive, but that doesn't mean I like to give that way. Just luckily, out of my, out of who I am, I do like to give that way. I do like little acts of service. I like to give that way as well. I like to cook. I'm a cooker. So I'm a cooker. I'm a cook. So I like to cook for my women. It's one of the, it's probably the main way that I like to show love. If I have love for you, I'll cook for you. And so when I cook for you, that means because I feel some type of way about you. So understanding yourself, understanding your partner, um, understanding how to serve them. In this world, we're so focused on being selfish. It's a Western ideology. It's all about self. So we get caught up in doing things for our own good instead of putting other people first. And when we put other people first, you feel the most amount of joy. When I'm able to do for somebody, it feels better than making money. It's one of those rare feelings. There's nothing better than doing something for somebody else and seeing how appreciative they are of you doing that service for them. So Christ did the ultimate serving for us, died on the cross for us. So this life is all about serving. This is why it feels good when you give to the poor. It's why it feels good when you help somebody that's in need, So when you take that ideology and you apply it to your relationship, then it creates a healthy dynamic. So trying to find this love requires you to work on yourself. How can you better yourself? How can you, put yourself in a position to where you attract the type of woman that you want? I in my alone time, I spent, time focusing on getting a better job. I can get a job that pays more. Women date men off of resources, not necessarily off of looks all the time. Men are very visual. We tend to date. We tend to look to reproduce with a woman based off of looks and, whether she's going to be a good mother and things of that nature. But women look for security. They look for a man that has resources, and resources is also a form of security, whether it's money, whether it's, physical shape. Resources comes in a plethora of different avenues. So understanding that type of woman that you want, what does she look for? What is the type of man that she looks for? And maybe try to become that type of person, or that type of man that you want to attract. What type of woman is he looking for? How can you become that woman? If I'm a high value man and I make great money, I'm looking for a woman that's probably a little bit more traditional, can cook, can clean, can take care of the house while I'm out making money for the family. So if that's the type of man that you want to attract, then you need to adopt those skills that are going to attract him. So same applies to a man. You need to adopt the skills or the attributes that the woman that you want is looking for. That's how you find, that partner. You become what they desire. You become the type of person that they want to be with. But it requires you to get healthy. It requires you to get, some stability under your feet, because if you're not healthy, then you're going to miss that person when they do come. What's the definition of luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So I can hit that final game winning shot because I spent hours practicing it in the gym. And luckily, the time has come where that practice has paid off. Now, if I don't spend those hours practicing in the gym, when that time comes, I'm not going to be ready for that last shot. I'm going to be nervous. Palms going to be sweaty. I'm going to lose all the training that I did on my form, everything. And so you have to prepare yourself. You have to get yourself ready to meet that person that you want. That's how you find love. And when you become healthy, when you become the type of person that when you become the type of person that the woman that you want is looking for, you'll attract that person. You know, if you want a traditional woman who's looking to be a stay-at-home mom that's just looking to cook, clean, and take care of the kids, then you need to become a man of resources. You need to become a man that has a good job, because those type of women are looking for a man with resources. So how willing are you to put in the effort to adopt the abilities for the type of woman that you're trying to catch, or the type of man that you're trying to catch? That's what it comes down to. You know, so we need to focus on strategizing, actually creating a plan when it comes to finding love, rather than just hoping and wishing and waiting for this mystery person to come along, because when you do that, it's never going to happen. You know, you meet these women and they're in their 40s and they're trying to figure out why they never found any love. Well, you never really put the effort in to attract the man that you want. You know, so how can you strategize to become that person? How can you strategize in order to find the love that you want, or the type of person that you want? You know, because even attracting the type of person that you want doesn't necessarily mean you're going to find love, but it's a good starting point. It's a place to start, because love is so complex. There's no real way to find love. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to put yourself in the best position to attract the love from the type of person that you want to be in that long-term relationship with. There's no guarantee I'm going to hit the game-winning shot, but with practice, I increase my odds. You know, I'm preparing myself for that moment. You know, so you have to look at it from a strategic point of view, rather than being hopeful or wishful, or, you know, genie, grant my wishes, my 3 wishes. Like, it's never going to happen when you do that. You know, you if you really want something, you have to create a plan to achieve that, whether it's writing it down, you know, in a journal or something like that. But you have to visualize it. You have to see it, but you have to also know how to obtain it. You know, so I hope this helps somebody out there. You know, find that person that they're looking for. You know, try to find that type of individual. It also means, if the type of person that you want, if you want a particular person that shares common interests in you, common interests that you have, you know, then you should put yourself in those places that those people reside in. If I want a woman that's entrepreneurial, then I'm going to start joining entrepreneurship clubs. I'm going to start going to meetups that are centered around entrepreneurs. I'm going to put myself in that situation, or that place, in order to meet that particular type of woman. You know, that's where luck comes in again, where preparation meets opportunity. So I am putting myself in a position to win, because I'm putting myself in that space to receive luck. You have to put yourself in that area to receive luck. You can't just hope and wish. I can never win the scratch off. I can never win the scratch off money if I don't ever play. You gotta play. You gotta play the game. But I hope this helps somebody out there try to find that particular person that they're looking for. You know, and hopefully that love comes to you. Give it time. And in the meantime, just continue to work on yourself and allow yourself to become the person that person is looking for. But I thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm going to have more content on the way per usual. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. I'm out.